So to newcomers, this may look like a handful, like, what is this? Why do I even do this? Well, the answer is quite simple. I wanted to have a pair of very high quality headphones, like something that I can actually enjoy and something that sounds good to me while having a workout, so for the gym. And this was my solution. This is the Austrian Audiophile EX60. A very good high-end headphone made by Austrian Audio. They are a continuation of AKG. And I have connected them to the start of today's show to the Shanling UP4 2022. This is the tiny thing. It is such a tiny Bluetooth DAC/headphone amplifier, but why am I even doing this review? This is priced at $119 US, which is lower than I typically make video reviews for, but this thing has convinced me to do a video review. From the feedback I've received from you guys, I have understood that I should address to you in a more friendly manner and that my advice should be more direct. So this is going to be a try at a new style for Audiophile Heaven. Now, this is a Bluetooth DAC/headphone amplifier, which basically means that it receives Bluetooth signal from something like a smartphone and it is amplifying or giving signal, and by that I mean audio signal, for headphones. The headphones in this case have been the Austrian Audiophile EX60. The reason I have chosen those headphones is first that they are closed back, so I can be unbothered by the noise in the gym. Second, they are very comfortable, they are not heavy, and they are very good. The same goes for the UP4. Shanling UP4 is a very tiny thing that can actually be clipped to the headband of a headphone without really influencing the weight and the comfort of the headphones. It has enough power to drive them, which was a very important factor for me because usually when I get something that is a Bluetooth DAC/headphone amplifier, it doesn't have quite enough power. Now this one does. Furthermore, it has a very sleek design, it has a good battery life, so I'm able to get around 4 to 5 workouts. Each workout is about 2 hours in length, so around 2 hours, so about 10 hours in total. I'm using the single-ended output, not the balanced output, because those headphones do not have a balanced output, and I'm typically having a normal to very loud volume because in the gym there is already music playing and I need a very loud volume to keep my mood being pumped up so that I can lift, that I can run, that I can do all of the stuff that I have to do in the gym. So this one is able to provide those headphones with enough volume. It is able to drive other headphones as well. For example, it is powerful enough for Audeze MM500 or for Olo S5X, but with the Austrian Audio it just has the best overall balance. It doesn't really have much of a coloration in the sound, although I would call it slightly smooth and slightly bassy, although not a lot. So if you are looking for something that is quite colored, the Shanling UP4 ain't going to cut it. It is not colored enough for me to consider it a colored source. It is a pretty neutral, pretty transparent source. It has very good dynamics, very good punch, very powerful sound, and overall it just sounds transparent, dynamic, punchy. It is a very good Bluetooth DAC/headphone amplifier. It can work as a USB DAC as well, but you will need the Shanling USB driver for that. Every single Shanling product to date needs that USB driver, otherwise it is not going to work. I have noticed that with Shanling M3 Ultra and Shanling M1S. So generally speaking, with Shanling devices, you will need to install an additional bit of software for them to work. Now, you just turn it on, you keep the volume wheel pressed. It doesn't have a display, it just has one small LED light. It has NFC, although I have never used it. I just typically connect it by searching it from my smartphone, and then I find it on the smartphone and I just press connect. Now, there are some pretty specific things that I've noticed while using my smartphone, and those are interesting, and those are things that most reviews don't mention. I should mention this in the full written review, but they are interesting to say the least. So first off, the smartphone is able to tell how much battery it has left, and the best sounding algorithm is typically not aptX or LDAC, but rather the best sounding Bluetooth algorithm for this is the LHDC version 2, which sounds much better than all of the other ones. So this is currently the best overall sounding Bluetooth algorithm, LHDC. Now, I made a very complex and very true article, a written article on Bluetooth algorithms and Bluetooth devices. Please check that out if you are curious about Bluetooth. It should be available on my website, audiophileheaven.com. And now on to the stuff that I've noticed, which I don't understand. I'm not expecting that to happen, but it does happen with Bluetooth. So on my Motorola Edge 40 Pro, I am entering the developer options, which is a pretty normal thing to do for a smartphone user. And then I have some settings about Bluetooth. I have the Bluetooth audio sample rate, which is currently set at 96 Hz. Now, I don't have any idea why, but setting that rate to Redbook samples, for example, to 44.1 kilohertz, will actually degrade the sound considerably. And that is interesting because in theory, Bluetooth shouldn't be able to support 96 hertz. I mean, in theory, it really shouldn't. It doesn't have enough data bandwidth to support it. But the sound when you select it is much better. So even if the files aren't high resolution, even if everything else isn't made to support that data rate, just enabling that in the developer options in your smartphone is going to make it sound much fuller, more dynamic, and just better overall. The overall sound is more detailed, has better control and lower distortion. And that is something I was clearly not expecting. It shouldn't happen. Also, the bits per sample in the Bluetooth modes should be set to 24 bits per sample. I once again have no idea why, but setting it to 16 bits per sample actually degrades the sound a bit. And once again, I don't know why. My files are not high resolution, they are Redbook FLAC. I'm not just streaming this kind of data, but it just forces the Bluetooth algorithm to sound better. It forces it to have a higher bandwidth, even though the files transmitted aren't higher in bandwidth. So it is like a bug or a feature. It depends on how I want to consider it, but I consider it to be a feature at this point. We have the Bluetooth Audiophile HDC codec playback quality. That is very important. So I have it set to optimized for connection quality at 400 kilobits per second, which is the most stable one. You can actually set it for optimized for audio quality at 900 kilobits per second, but that is not going to be stable. For example, I do select it and it works typically, but if there are like a few other people listening to other Bluetooth headsets around me, it is going to drop the connection quality or it is going to drop the signal. So I'm going to have signal interruptions and such, and it is not going to be a very comfortable listening experience. Now, that is something to take into account. I just realized I wasn't even holding this thing in my hand while talking about it. This is the fun part. It is small. You can actually clip it to your shirt. It does have a little microphone inside, which is also important because when you purchase one of those, you will eventually be taking phone calls, and I'm taking a lot of phone calls. If I'm wearing those headphones on my head like this is how I typically wear them at the gym. I don't know, I may look like a little bit of a weirdo, but it works all right. And I have it clipped right to the headband. Like here is the spot where I can clip it. Now, the microphone is not close enough to my mouth so that the person on the other end can really hear me. I have to either shout or they will not hear me. So what I do is I unclip it from the headband and I clip it to my shirt here, and then I connect the headphones to it with this cable. Usually I leave it a bit longer so that this works. And like this, people can hear me much better, and it works very well as a conversational device. It may not be the way you use it, but if you want to use the microphone inside, which is right on the top part, right next to the mode button, you'll have to have it clipped right next to your mouth. So as closer to your mouth as possible so that the call quality will be okay. From what I can remember, this little clip case is included in the package, which I think is a great standard because I am using this clip case a lot. It is the only way I can foresee using it. Otherwise, without the clip case, it is going to just not be okay. The sound is better than something like the FiiO BTR5 and even the newer version of FiiO BTR5. I found that the sound has better overall resolution, better clarity and more impact, also better control over headphones. But the balanced output is just 2.5mm in format, which means that it is going to be one of those more fragile connectors. The signal quality is quite reliable, but one more bug that I've noticed about it, and as you see as a real user and because I am dedicated to bring you the best content, I noticed a lot of minor stuffs that you notice when you really use something. So this one doesn't really charge from fast chargers, which is something that I even had to search because I thought that the unit was broken and I had to send it back to Shanling. And it looks like Shanling acknowledges this issue, and it is because of the internal design. And yes, indeed, it is not working with fast chargers. What I have noticed though is that it is not working with the fast charger that came with the Motorola Edge 40 Pro or Motorola Edge 30 Ultra. Both of them have a very fast charger which charges with 125 watts, and they don't work with this. It will be connected, but it will not charge, although it does work with fast chargers for Xiaomi, which is interesting. I guess that products made in China or designed by the Chinese have a different charging standard, because with those it charges just right, even though they are fast chargers. So you may need to charge this from a computer if you don't have any Xiaomi smartphones in your home and chargers. Now, that is not that much of an inconvenience, and it sounds quite good. And you know, I'm audiophile, haven't I review a ton of stuff, and this is my choice for a Bluetooth receiver at the gym. It would have been the UP5 instead of the UP4 that I'm reviewing today, but the UP5 is just a bit heavier. It is heavy enough so that it doesn't stay clipped to the headphones, which kind of defeats the purpose for what I'm using it for. So for a gym Bluetooth DAC/headphone amplifier, this is going to be my top choice. Few BTR5 would also be interesting, but the clip case on the BTR5 is also a bit too narrow to stay secured attached to most headphones. So this one has just the sweet spot of being practical to sounding good to being good enough for me to use. Now, I really recommend this, and I really recommend you checking it out on Amazon.com if you want a good deal. Also, check out Audiophile, the store that sent this to us today. Audiophile store is a very good store from China mainly. They mainly sell Chinese products, but they have very good prices and they are very reliable. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying the new style. I hope you'll consider subscribing to Audiophile Heaven. Also check out my other videos. Please like this video. Please share it with your friends. Please share it with everyone if you want to help me out. I also have a PayPal link in the video description if you feel like donating. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye.